Salman here. So as of now, friends were talking about financial inclusion and the various mechanisms and how India has been progressing towards financial inclusion. So like now we need to, almost we say like what from this point onwards, like how to carry forward, like what are the things we should concentrate upon. So one thing is like currently the significant focus, if you look at it, is towards on the rural areas. But if you look at it, there's also a greater influx of momentum people, and hence we need a balance between especially in terms of the financial literacy which is required. It also needs to be focused towards the urban areas, So that's one point. And then if you look at the thrust on greater financial literacy was significantly coordination. So one very important point would be the stakeholders who are operating. They need to. They are right now kind of operating in silos. So they need to. They need to work together basically to have a greater impact on the balance, greater impact on the financial inclusion. So right now the policies, some of them being adopted by the government, they are all pretty little bit not on focus. So this might also create problems. So this should be focused upon. Then of course infrastructure point was pointed out. This is basically with respect to the challenge. So of course with respect to the stakeholders, again we need to bring a greater attitude change. Next, so basically now we'll look into one particular example because we have been looking at a concept. Now we'll just see how SBI, the major corporate bank of ours, so how they have taken some of their steps towards financial inclusion. If you look at it, RBI has set some plans for SBI to cover at least around 17% of the total villages. So out of this, at least 70% of the total villages have been kind of allocated to SBI to look into. That's the target for at least 2012 year. So they were able to come up with around 8,150 rural and urban semi-urban branches. As such, if you look at SBI from the price that around 67%, the total out of the total around 67% they concentrate more on the rural and semi-urban branches. So you can see that as said, the bank by itself has been concentrating towards inclusion, financial inclusion. So apart from this, what you can look at is that they have around covered around 12,000 plus odd villages through their network of 8,750 branches, plus their other policies which are adopted. Those policies I'll be just going through in the coming slide. So apart from this, these are some statistics, and then we have the business facilitator and business correspondent model. So we have been hearing about business correspondent model, but I'd just like to differentiate them. Business facilitator model is more related to providing infrastructure means, like they may be NGOs or even they also have some kind of ties with self-help groups, so who provide them with kind of facilitation. Then business correspondent model is more related to, I'll go to the next and we can discuss about it. So so these are some policies or some kind of initiatives which are modern way. One is the Zero Technology Platform, which basically would involve bringing financial inclusion in most of Northeast and North Indian states, where they adopted some basic technological devices, and so that the banking can be done banking can be done multiple. But I think that was not a significant, didn't make a significant effect. Then they came up with the ultra small branch, the business correspondent model. This was one of the major success as far as SBI is concerned towards financial inclusion. The business correspondents, like the simple modus operandi they had was they were provided with a computer printer and a biometric device, and then they were so these were the main elements, and then some of them were they were then sent to SBI sites. So these SBI sites would were internet sites where in the villages where they won't operate. So that was one model which was practiced. So most of the work which is carried out business correspondence was the farm loan recovery program. So this was a major work which was done by them. So apart from that, they had this initiative called One Rupee Bank for Urban Financial Inclusion, wherein they try to cover some areas where there are, the demand was pretty high, and where they saw such a model would be helpful. And around 2011, it was 30,000 underprivileged customers were covered under this program. Then Bank on Bike scheme, okay, this works similar to it, but they found cost efficiency when compared to the Bank on Mobile van, because it had more significant infrastructure, and here they had a fixed infrastructure at the villages, and then they have to go to that place and need to cover it. So overall, if you look at it, around 2,20,000 non-fill accounts were opened as of 2011, and in every state they almost reach 100% coverage as per the financial institution plan provided by RBI. And the category, like right now, they are so far concentrated where villages with greater than 2,000 population. So now they plan to also include villages with less than 2,000 in the next few years. Okay. See, actually, this 1 rupee bank is what they say is like the in case of opening the account. I mean the maintenance. It's basically it's almost like zero balance. They have this 1 rupee account. I think they have some what you can call as it is similar to a non-fill account, but apart from that they have a little bit higher maintenance levels. Like the account has to be opened, and apart from the account they have to
This was copied from syndicate bank. It was previously called as syndicate. So it was later implemented by SBI for that. It was first implemented by syndicate bank, Dignity Savings Bank, and then later it was implemented in the same line by SBI for financial inclusion when the RBI was for financial.
Continuing that point, I just remembered actually one of the objectives, they like whatever money they receive through Narega, that they want that directly should come into the their SBI account. That was their kind of plan, which was explicitly stated as far as their concerns.
Do private banks also have some obligations as by the RBI to open certain number of branches, like SBI has private banks also have such kind of obligation?
I think there is some initiative for the private bank, but I don't know if there is any obligation. Maybe somebody else can take up. But right now, if you look at it, there are some. In PSB, they have this financial inclusion plan which has been explicitly by RBI for each of the banks. So they started, I think, from 2006 onward for SBI, but the significant numbers came up only in recent years, in the last 3-4 years.
Another point, private banks, even though they don't open branches in rural areas, they do channel the funds to other microfinance institutions. For example, they won't go directly and serve people. They'll actually give the money to other microfinance institutions who will actually go and give it. So they have norms. They have to spend 100 crores per year for the pool, to give loans to pool people, something. This is RBI norm. So they won't go into directly, but they'll fund it.
It is also beneficial to the bank because microfinance interest rates are around 25 to 20%, which is higher compared to any other. That is why they direct their funds as a
indirectly, what you said, financial kind of thing, but still they'll get overseas.
I don't know about returns, but it's basically something they have to follow. They're doing it.
But the question is if, microfinance institutions charge such a high
I'll
interest rate.
explain it. Then next video will make sense. I explain it.
Okay, I think.